PR Connections Radio presents.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Professionals Podcast. I am your host, Rachel West. I'm an empowerment coach. I specialize in mental fitness and addiction recovery, and I have the belief that when we really take the time to get to know the personal side of the professionals, we find that we have a lot more in common than we do different. I love to bring on special guests to the show and hear their journey and their ups and downs and things that they have had to overcome to get to where they are at today on their journey in life. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Roy Fune. He is a vibroacoustic therapist and Reiki master, and we're going to learn all about what that is. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Rachel. Really glad to be here. And thank you very much for the invitation to be here on this podcast today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you and learn more about what you're doing in the holistic realm. Let's start off by diving into a quick 5-minute or so background and your journey and what you went through to get to where you are today.
Well, again, as you said, I'm a vibroacoustic therapist and a Reiki master teacher. And as I've said before, you don't go through childhood thinking that, okay, I'm going to be a vibroacoustic master and a vibroacoustic therapist and a Reiki master teacher. And no child actually that I know of actually wants to go and say, okay, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. But that's what I find myself doing. As a matter of fact, I find myself doing it really late in my career because I started out as a child. I wanted to actually be a professional musician because I trained in music my entire life. But as I started becoming an adult, I started to realize that, hey, I had to put on my big boy pants and get a real job. So I joined the Air Force at the age of 22, and with the whole idea of getting a degree and making myself more marketable. So I had to put music on the back burner. And that led to not only becoming an Air Force officer and doing all that and just becoming a functional member of society. After I got out of the Air Force, I went into the professional arena, first in the government and then also the private sector. And I eventually became an IT professional, which I did for about 20-something years and got to the top of my profession. It started to really get laborious after a while, and especially in the last few years of doing that. And as I started to get older, I started to really, and I hate to say this, I really hated IT at that particular time. It was exciting when I first got into it, but it really got old. I wanted to actually work with people and not work with machines and coding and doing mathematical calculations in a cubicle. That just wasn't me. I wanted to be and talk to people and be part of people's lives. That was what I wanted to do. And when I worked, the company I worked for in 2020 during the pandemic decided in their infinite wisdom that they needed to eliminate my position. And that gave me the opportunity to go and do something else. I didn't want to continue in IT. And I took the turn. I went and became a realtor, which I did really well at. And then in 2020, or excuse me, it was later on about maybe 2022, I got, people have these moments there where they say that God talks to them. Well, I had a Noah moment at that particular time in 2022. And I heard, God saying, you will set up a Reiki practice. And I was like, it kind of reminds me of that. There was a comedy routine that Bill Cosby did a long time ago where he played Noah, and God said, Noah, you will build an ark. And that's exactly what the download was for me. You will build a Reiki practice, but God, I'm a realtor. This is something that I've been building this business for the last couple of years. He goes, you will do it, and you will do it in 2022. So I fought that idea for quite a while, and then I got a bunch of readings from some friends of mine. They're channeling, and they said, your spirit guides are telling you need to set up a Reiki practice. You're a healer. That's what you are. And so in June of 2022, I decided to do that. Now, I was already a Reiki master. I'd been a Reiki master for a couple of years, and I'd actually been a Reiki practitioner for a lot longer than that. And before that, I was actually doing energy work because I'd been doing Qigong and Tai Chi. And I had the ability to actually do that. I had the ability to actually do what Reiki masters do, which is to use my hands to actually transfer energy. And I usually did it on myself, and I would do it occasionally for other folks. But over time, I got introduced to Reiki and started doing it with Reiki and kind of put that on the back burner for a while. So I remember that 2013 was the first time that I actually took a Reiki class. And then I said, you know what, I do this anyway. This is all part of my Qigong practice, and I don't have to go any further than this. And then I met my wife, the love of my life, and she got diagnosed with what they characterized was a dangerous form of cancer. It was a deadly form of cancer. It was the same cancer, thyroid cancer, that just Scalia, I believe it was, died from. And so when she got that, she started looking into holistic treatments. She said, I'm not going to go in. I'm not going to do any chemotherapy, and I'm not getting this thyroid taken out. I'm going to do this naturally. So she did a lot of things. She went in, she did her, her diet. She just overnight, she changed her diet. And then she read all these books and looked at what are some of the things or all the things that people do that had cancer, and they were able to put it in remission. They were able to cure themselves from their cancer. And one of the things was Reiki, or energy healing. And so she wanted to go and take a look at all these Reiki circles around Las Vegas. And I said, okay, I've done Reiki before. Let's go do it. I'll be your plus one. And I did that. And we started going to Reiki circles, and I became part of the Reiki community here in Las Vegas. And it was going to stop there because I was enjoying myself just being a part of Reiki circles and just staying in the cheap seats and not really taking any type of leadership role in doing Reiki. But then, as I said before, 2022 hit, and God said, you are going to do your Reiki practice. And that's where we're at right now. At the same time, I got introduced to vibroacoustic therapy, which is using sound and vibration to heal people. Kind of what Reiki does. Reiki does energy healing, and you actually transfer energy. You can do that with sound. And if you don't believe that, think about what happens when you get an ultrasound. An ultrasound that people use sound to, for diagnostics. Well, we can actually use that to heal. And over the last 60, 70 years, we have discovered that certain frequencies can do that. They can actually heal. And so we've got a lot of research and a lot of scientific studies behind that in doing vibroacoustics. So vibroacoustics is actually really, really good. And unlike Reiki, where I can do a Reiki on someone, and I can do a Reiki session on them, and sometimes they'll go, okay, I felt it, or sometimes they say they can't feel it. I can always feel it because I'm attuned to that and I'm sensitive to it. But some people who aren't attuned to that won't feel the vibrations. When you actually get on a vibroacoustic bed and I do a vibroacoustic session on you, there is no doubt in your mind you're feeling what's going on. And so you know that you're being healed and you're actually able to feel. And through the sessions that I've done for people, I've been able to help a lot of people doing that Reiki-infused vibroacoustic therapy. That's using Reiki in conjunction with vibroacoustic therapy. And my specialty right now is dealing with people who are dealing with chronic stress and chronic pain. And the look on their faces, they come on in. I've seen people that are suffering from depression. They've got the traumatic thing that happened in their life somewhere. And I do a Reiki session on them, and then I finish up with vibroacoustics. And when I'm done, I look on their faces, and it's just a 180-degree change. So I know that I'm on the right track as far as that's concerned. And I've been able to help a lot of people, especially with that chronic pain and chronic stress, to overcome that. So that's kind of the gist of what I do. Now, lately, I've discovered the science of the brain, neuroplasticity. And I'm actually using the technologies and other technologies that I've discovered to help people to learn. And I'm working with kids who have learning disabilities, ADHD, autism, maybe some socialization things that are going on, fetal alcohol syndrome. And I've dealt with kids that have those types of conditions. And we're using not only, we're using sound to help heal them and help them to learn better. And I want to also do this with veterans that have PTSD, because we want to go ahead and we want to use these technologies to help people and to do that. So that's where I'm at right now. That's where we're focusing on in this practice. The whole idea is I want to help people. And I guess that's why God told me in 2022, yeah, you will be a vibroacoustic therapist and a Reiki master teacher. And that's what you're going to do.
Wow.
So here I am.
There's so much good stuff in there. That's a great story. Thank you so much for your service, first of all. And second, I commend you on listening to that inner voice, because so many times at some point in our life, we just tune it out. We're all born with that inner voice, that inner instinct. And at some point we just tune it out. And I commend you, because so many people get stuck in the trap of a career or job. They've been there for years and years, decades, and they stay in it because they're comfortable, because they're good at it. And definitely blessing in disguise by getting laid off during pandemic and allowing yourself to listen to that inner intuition and set you on the right path. And great for you at your age to say, you know what, I might be this age, but I'm okay with starting over. I'm okay with creating this new path, because this is where I'm supposed to be at. And I really believe that everything in life happens for a reason, and everything we do in our life is only setting us up for what it is that we're supposed to do, and it leads you in that direction. So what I want to know is, when you first started in IT, looking back at that person, at your younger self, what would you tell yourself, your younger self, what you know now?
That's funny, because I got into IT not because I had a passion for it. It was because it was in the late 90s during what they call the internet boom. And I got into it because I discovered that that was where the money was. In fact, when I got into it, all you had to do is be able to say Windows, and you could get a $70,000 job just right off the bat. So I got certified. I got the Glory certification at the time, which was the MCSE. And that opened a lot of doors and actually it opened the doors to a six-figure income stream, which I maintained all the way up until 2020. So that was hard to quit. Once you're on that hamster wheel and you're making all that money, you've got to keep up with it. And I hated it. I really did. It was something that I really did not like. I really hated going into work every day. And so what I would probably tell my younger self was, okay, do this in the moment, and then do a gut check every now and then. Don't box yourself into a corner. And exactly what happened later on in life. I had gotten up there and it was exciting because I was getting pay raises and I was going in, but all of a sudden I got to a certain income level and a certain level in my career, and I was just stuck there. I couldn't do anything else there. I couldn't take a step backwards to try to retool myself because the income was just too high. And I had to keep looking. The IT industry changes a lot. It changes like all the time. And so I had to keep up with it. And so it was a younger man's game. So I think to answer your question, that's what I would just say. Do a gut check every now and then. Find out, am I on the right track? Before you find out it's too late and you're 60 years old and you find that, gosh, what did I do over these last 2 decades or 3 decades?
Yeah. So what would you tell someone who's in that same position? They're later on in their years and they're on that hamster wheel currently. They know they're unhappy. They're kind of stuck because they know they're not going to go any further. They've kind of maxed out. And they're maybe thinking about doing something else, but they're a little bit nervous about, the unknown and what could happen. what would be your advice to help them make a decision and know that it's okay to take a step back to go forward?
That's the key right there. You have to actually do a reassessment. Right at that particular point, I was comfortable with the income that I was making. And it wasn't a point where, yeah, I was making all this money, but I was saving a lot of money and I was actually planning for the future. I was actually living the lifestyle in concert with what I was making. And that's mistake number one. You want to go ahead and you want to, when you try to take that step back, but also readjust your lifestyle so you're not boxed in because of the lifestyle that you lead. Hey, do you really need that Benz or that BMW or that Corvette? What you that dream car? Do you really need the big house? Can you take that step backward to be able to pursue your passion and not stress yourself out every day? And so that's where I'm at right now. I found out that I can live on half of what I was living at when I was in that hamster wheel. And so it made me a lot more flexible in choosing to go and move with my passion and to find out what my passion was and is and how to work with that. And that's what you have to do. And hopefully, if you're get good at what your passion is, you might be able to bring that income level back where it is. But if you don't, you're doing something that makes you feel good, where you're not just doing something, you're not earning a living, you're actually, making a life for yourself and you're living instead of earning a living.
Yes, I love that. That's great advice. So when you were in IT, is that when you got certified as a Reiki master, a practitioner?
I have to think about this. Yeah, it was. It was 2013, so it's quite a while back. When I first got my Reiki 1, and then I didn't go further until 2020, but I was still in the IT industry when I got my Reiki master.
So how did you know about Reiki? Like what led to that journey to want to become a practitioner? Or what sparked your interest in
Well,
that
Reiki
field?
itself, I really didn't have a whole lot of, believe it or not, a whole lot of faith in. I was dating a girl at the time who was a Reiki master, and she attuned me to Reiki. But she already knew that I knew how to do this because of my energy. I've been doing energy healing since 1990. So it was 13 years before that. I was already doing that and I was already attuned to energy. So she said she wanted to formalize and actually make me a Reiki practitioner by attuning me to that. And that's how I got introduced to Reiki. And I just use it as another tool in my tool set. My primary energy healing modality was actually Qigong and Tai Chi and all that, because to me, that's something I've been doing for much longer. 2020 moved in and I started to like, that the Reiki community became my community at that particular time. And when you go into a Reiki circle, which is where you have a bunch of Reiki practitioners and people that want to learn about Reiki, you do a lot of healings in the Reiki circle. And I was doing, a lot of healings in the Reiki circle as part of the Reiki circle. And I just liked it. It was just part of part of my community and part of just what I did. So I was able to help a lot of people out in the Reiki circles, and it's something that I enjoyed and that I liked. So that's how I got into Reiki and why I got into Reiki in the first place.
And for someone who doesn't know about energy or what Reiki is, you mentioned a little bit what it is and the difference between the vibroacoustic therapy and the Tai Chi. Can you give a little bit more for someone who might not know what any of this is or what it means or how it's
Sure.
used?
Absolutely. Energy healing is based on the premise that everything is energy, which is completely true. It was proven in the early part of the 20th century by a guy you may have heard of called Albert Einstein. And a lot of his contemporaries, they discovered that on a subatomic level, everything is energy. Atoms, everything consists of energy. So this energy, we believe in Reiki that there's a universal life force that's attached to this. And if you believe in God or you believe that it's the universe, this is the underlying thing that makes all life happen, is that key or that life force. And so what we're doing is we're actually manipulating and sending ki down to be able to heal people. we believe in Reiki, and also energy healers believe that there is outside of the physical body, there's an energy, they call it the etheric body, that affects actually the physical body. So you can go ahead and you can, if you can actually, if your etheric body's not working right, then it causes a lot of physical ailments. A lot of the conditions that we undergo in life are because our energetic body is not actually working 100%. We got blocks and energy is not circulating like it should be. It's the whole basis behind things like acupuncture, and it's also the basis behind Reiki, although they've got two different approaches to it. So in Reiki, we believe that there's a chakra system, and there's 7 chakras, and then they're all connected in some way. The chakras are connected to different glands. Like, for example, the one that I'm more familiar with, because this is the one I'm working with my wife, is the throat chakra, which is actually connected to the thyroid. And so if you've got a thyroid problem, what we would do is we would apply Reiki and apply it to the throat chakra, and on and on and on. All the chakras are correlating to different parts of the physical body. And when we do the energetic part of it, which is we heal that chakra, then that could also help to alleviate the problem that they have on a physical level. So that's kind of how it works. Vibroacoustics is basically the same thing, except for we use different frequencies that have been predetermined to help with the chakras and to help alleviate certain conditions. So we know that over time that certain frequencies actually, when applied, can do, for lack of a better term, magical things. I mentioned the chakra system. There's 7 chakras in the human body that are associated with the body. There are 9 solfeggio frequencies, and 7 of them actually map by some coincidence to the to the chakras. So there's certain frequencies I use if I know that for example, the throat chakra needs to be healed, or we need to work on that. I can apply a certain frequency to heal that. We also have some therapeutic frequencies. The most common of that is 40 hertz. And when I apply that to the vibroacoustics, we can actually eliminate a lot of pain. 30 hertz, we can help people that have dementia or that have, things like that, Parkinson's disease, and, on and on and on. Certain things that somehow we know, or we found out that these frequencies actually do work through scientific research. And so that's the whole basis behind what I do in vibroacoustics. Now, when I talk about vibroacoustics, I'm talking about a bed. It's a special bed that I put them on, and it's got certain, what they call them, transducers. But these transducers are like subwoofers. So if you've ever been to a movie where they've, like an IMAX movie where you hear that subwoofer going boom, boom, boom. Well, that's kind of what that bed does when I do vibroacoustics. They're listening to music, but they're also listening to low frequencies, or they're actually experiencing low frequencies through the bed. And that's where the healing actually occurs, is through those different frequencies that, from that bed. Man, it's just an amazing thing. We can do a lot of things. We can do a lot of therapy. I can help heal chakras. We can help them to feel better, the massage the body, because sound goes deeper than any massage therapist can, because it goes deeper into the body. So there's a lot of things we can do with vibroacoustics, and that I like it. And when you infuse it with Reiki, it's kind of like a double whammy.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I love that. Thanks for explaining that in more detail for those that might not know about energy and how it works. So I have 2 questions for you. The first one is, how do you protect yourself from other people's energy and it lingering in your space? And the second is, what do you do for your own self-care in your day?
Oh, well, that's 2 really good questions, Rachel. They really are. The first one is, when we do Reiki training, we teach people how to clear themselves. And so it's really just simple, really. It's just called, I do something called dry bathing. That's basically it. Doing that, I clear myself. There are certain things that we can do. We can use certain crystals to clear ourselves too. But I do that, and that's how I prevent all that from happening. And by keeping myself at a higher vibration. And when I say that, I mean doing things that I try to stay positive. And by doing that, it kind of raises my vibration. It kind of repels any negative that occurs. So I'm not really concerned about it. I really don't. If I have to do, I'll dry bathe or I'll meditate to get myself into the point there where I'm more positive. And by doing that, I can repel any of that negative that goes on. A lot of people talk about negative energy or this or that. I'm not really that concerned about it because I try to keep myself above that, right there.
Yeah.
Now, and that leads me to the answer to my second question. What do your second question, which is, what do you do? Well, Reiki is a lifestyle, and, it's a lifestyle in which I do, meditation. I perform Reiki on myself. I energize myself, or I actually try to feel the energy and try to get it circulating. And it's something I was doing even before I got into Reiki. It's something that the Qigong people, they know this stuff, and Tai Chi people, they know this stuff. You want to be able to circulate all that energy around your body. And by doing that, that will help you to stay balanced. And that's kind of the basis behind Qigong, actually. And so that's what I've actually moved into Reiki, and that's what I do too, is I do that. I perform Reiki. When you do Reiki on other people, the whole basis behind Reiki is the energy that's coming in from spirit, the universe, God, actually comes in through what we call the crown chakra, which is the top of your head, and goes through your body and manifests itself through the hands. So when I'm actually laying hands on people, that the energy is going down this way and through my hands. And so I'm getting all that energy when I do a healing. And so that actually benefits me. So that's why I thank people when I work on them and say, hey, thank you, because I got a dose of that energy at the same time.
Yeah.
And you can do that to yourself. You can self-Reiki yourself, and that's something that we teach people how to do in Reiki. And in doing that, you feel better. But another thing is, when I say raise your vibration, there's actually some principles in Reiki that I recommend that people live by. And these were sent to us from the actual founder of Reiki, which is Grandmaster Usui. And it is, see if I can do this, remember here. Don't worry. Don't be angry. Be grateful. Do your work honestly, and be kind to all living things. Those are the 5 principles of Reiki, and I'm actually paraphrasing that. But I mean, how cool is that? That's really some basics there for how to live your life.
Yeah.
And you think that, especially not worrying or not being angry, you can only, raise your vibration doing that. And that's why I encourage people to do that, to live that Reiki lifestyle, live by those principles. And that way, you'll live a more balanced and fulfilled life. You'll be a lot happier.
Yes, I love that. And you could apply that to any area of your life, those 5 principles.
Absolutely. I mean, they're so simple, but yet it's like a secret. And when people worry about it, it really bothers me, believe it or not. I go, what are you worrying about that for? Well, she said this. I said, well, she called you a liar. Are you a liar? No. Why are you worried about it? Why are you angry about it? What it is, let that go. Release it. Let it go.
Yes.
Get that out of your life and bring something positive and raise your vibration.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. It really is.
Yes. So whenever that happens to me, my exercise is, what about this is about me? What can I take from this and learn as a lesson? What about this is about them and I can release?
Absolutely. It's all about that.
Yes.
Releasing that stuff, letting go of things that don't suit you, that are not for your highest and greatest good.
Exactly.
Then replacing it with things that'll move you forward.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, I'm going to ask a couple other things. The first is, what does being a professional mean to you?
Well, the professional in the fundamental sense is, you're getting paid for whatever you do. I mean, that's essentially the definition of professional. And so that's what it is. And in order for you to be able to fulfill that, you've got to maintain some sort of excellence, some standard of excellence, and to be able to do that. Now, there's a ton of people that are Reiki practitioners. And how do you get to the point where you make money out of Reiki and establish a practice? Well, you've got to treat it like a business. You've got to go ahead and do it and maintain a standard for yourself, for you as a Reiki practitioner, that you put yourself above people that aren't doing it for a living, so that you can become the person there that, what I just said, the definition of professional is getting paid for what you do. And that transfers into anything in life, not just that. Hey, I can pick my nose all day there, but can I get to to a level of excellence where I can get paid for it? Then all of a sudden you're a professional nose picker. But until you get to that point, you're not. So that's a different. That's the bar that you got to get. Will somebody pay me to do this? And that's what makes it professional.
Yes. And you mentioned Reiki circles. I know you host one. You want to tell about that, how people can connect to that, and any other programs you want to share where people can experience your work?
We do a Reiki circle. We're having one tonight, as a matter of fact. And we do it every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. at Eclectic Reikiology. And that's at 5550 Flamingo Road, Suite A1 in Las Vegas. The cross streets are Flamingo and Lindell. It's free of charge, no obligation to pay anything. We ask for love donations, but we don't obligate people to do that. So we do that Reiki circle, and we have a lot of practitioners, and it's a great group of people. And my mission is, just like my practice, is I want you to leave that Reiki circle feeling better about yourself and about the world around you than when you came in. And that's my goal, and we're making that happen. So it's a great circle, and we invite everybody to come in and be a part of it and share the energy.
If anyone would like to connect with you personally, how could they do that?
Well, my website is, my organization is called Zen and Sage. So it's www.zenandsage.org. So you can get on the website, or you can email me at roy@zenandsage.org. Or you can text or call me at 443-493-0391. And, please don't feel like you're bothering me at all when you do that there. I look forward to talking to people that want to learn more about this and continue on their spiritual development.
Yes, I love that. Thanks so much for being on the show. I loved having you and getting your view on energy and spiritual healing. I love the subject, and holistic modalities is definitely my view and way to go in life. Thanks for being on the show.
Well, hey, the pleasure's all mine. Rachel, thank you so much there. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. So that wraps up another episode of the Professionals Podcast. We will be back on May 3rd. We're here on the first Wednesday of every month, and I'll have another special guest to present to you guys. Thanks so much, and we'll see you then.